Listen to me carefully because what I am about to tell you may change the way you see the rest of your life. 73% of people who die before 85 share the same set of habits. Habits so common that most do not even realize they are dangerous. They accept them as normal aging. They convince themselves that fatigue, aching joints, memory lapses, and even loneliness are just part of growing old. But the truth is far more unsettling. These so-called normal signs of aging are quietly stealing 15 to 20 years from countless lives. You may believe your future depends mostly on genetics, but science tells a different story. Only about 20% of how long you live is decided by your DNA. The other 80% comes from the choices you make every single day. That means the power to shape the quality and length of your life is already in your hands. You can let yourself fade slowly into decline, or you can choose to step into strength, clarity, and joy well into your 80s and 90s. Imagine this moment. You are 68. You take a morning walk. You eat the foods you always believed were healthy. You keep your routines, yet your body feels weaker. Your energy slips away, and you think this must be what aging does. Then you look across the street at a neighbor who is 85. They seem alive, full of energy, sharper and happier than you are, and you wonder what secret they hold. It is not luck, and it is not better genes. It is the daily habits they choose to live by. Here is the shocking reality. Most people who never see 85 fall into the same traps. They spend hours sitting, telling themselves that a short walk is enough. They cut their sleep short, convinced that older adults need less rest. They withdraw from others, believing no one needs them anymore. They eat foods that appear healthy but fuel chronic inflammation. And they live under constant stress, worry that builds quietly in their body until it becomes a silent killer. Maybe you think you are fine because nothing serious has happened yet. But that is exactly what makes these habits so deadly. They do not strike suddenly. They erode your health one day at a time, year after year, until you look back and wonder where your strength went. But here is the hope you need to hear. You are not trapped by these habits. It is never too late to change. Small, consistent choices made after 60 can add a decade or more of healthy life. They can restore energy, sharpen your mind, and give you the freedom to truly live. In this journey, we will uncover the 5 most dangerous habits that are cutting lives short, and the simple shifts that can break their hold on you. You will discover why a single decision each day can decide whether you reach 85 strong, clear, and joyful, or whether you stop years earlier in decline. So I ask you now, if the years ahead could be the healthiest and most fulfilling of your entire life, would you choose to begin today? Because the truth is this: the choice has always been yours, and the journey begins now. At first glance, sitting does not seem dangerous. It feels harmless, even comfortable, especially when you believe you have done your part by exercising for 30 minutes in the morning. But what many people over 60 do not realize is that long hours of sitting quietly chip away at their health in ways they cannot see until it is almost too late. Doctors now call sitting the new smoking for seniors because its effects are just as deadly, only slower and more deceptive. Sandra was 68 and believed she was doing everything right. She took her morning walk, rain or shine. She ate her vegetables. She stayed consistent with her vitamins. She thought she was living a healthy life. But after her walk, she sat for the rest of the day. She spent hours with the newspaper, then television, then phone calls with friends, then hobbies at her kitchen table. By the evening, she had been sitting for more than 10 hours. She felt fine most days, a little tired, but nothing serious. What she did not know was that her body was already paying a steep price. After 60, your metabolism naturally slows by 2 or 3% each year. Circulation weakens. Muscles shrink faster when they remain inactive. The same hours of sitting that a 40-year-old body can tolerate without much trouble become far more dangerous for someone in their 70s. Sandra's doctor explained that blood was pooling in her legs, raising her risk of clots by hundreds of percent. Her insulin function was disrupted, pushing her closer to diabetes. Worst of all, her brain was receiving less blood flow, setting the stage for memory problems and cognitive decline. Sandra was shocked. She thought her morning walk was enough. But here is the paradox of exercise at this age. A half hour of movement does not erase the damage of hours of sitting. It is like giving your body one glass of water in the morning and then refusing to drink again for the rest of the day. No matter how refreshing that first glass was, the thirst will return and the body will suffer. Her wake-up call came when she tried a simple test her doctor suggested. She sat in a chair, crossed her arms over her chest, and tried to stand up 5 times in a row without using her hands. She could not do it. That moment broke her confidence, but it also gave her the clarity to change. Sandra began practicing what she called the 50-10 habit. For every 50 minutes of sitting, she moved for 10. She bought a small standing desk so she could work on crosswords without sitting. She stood while talking on the phone. She did simple stretches during television breaks. She set a timer every hour so she would not forget. 3 months later, she could pass the test with ease, standing and sitting 10 times without struggle. Her energy returned. Her blood sugar improved. Her circulation strengthened. She felt like herself again, alive and confident. The lesson is not complicated. Your body was designed to move. At this stage of life, refusing to sit still for too long can be the difference between living with strength and slowly losing your independence. Movement does not need to be extreme. It only needs to be consistent. Start simple. Stand up while drinking water. Walk around your living room while on the phone. Stretch during commercials. March in place for a few minutes every hour. These choices may feel small, but they are powerful. Over time, they add up to healthier blood flow, stronger muscles, and sharper focus. Every hour you sit is a choice. You can give in to comfort and let it quietly take from your health, or you can stand and give your body what it needs to thrive. It is not about perfection. It is about breaking the trap of stillness. Ask yourself how many hours you spend sitting each day. Be honest. If the number surprises you, let it be the reason you choose differently. Because when you decide to break the cycle, you are not only adding years to your life, you are adding life to your years. One of the most dangerous myths people believe after 60 is that older adults need less sleep. Many take pride in sleeping only 5 or 6 hours a night, convinced that their bodies simply do not require more. But the truth is that this belief is quietly stealing years from their lives. The science is clear. Seniors need just as much sleep as younger adults, 7 to 9 hours every single night. In fact, the older your body becomes, the more important sleep is, because it is the only time when your body can complete the deep repairs that keep you alive and healthy. Carl was 72 and disciplined. He went to bed early, woke up early, and kept his routines consistent. Yet he felt older and more tired than his 85-year-old neighbor, who always seemed to have endless energy. Carl did not understand why. Then his doctor explained that although Carl was going to bed on time, he was only sleeping 5 to 6 hours a night. Worse, his sleep was broken. He woke up 6 or 7 times without even realizing it. His body never entered the deep sleep stages that wash away toxins in the brain, recharge the immune system, and repair the heart and blood vessels. The consequences of poor sleep are frightening. Studies from Harvard Medical School show that seniors who consistently sleep less than 7 hours have a 50% higher risk of heart disease, a 300% higher risk of stroke, and cognitive decline that progresses 3 times faster than those who sleep well. During deep sleep, the brain clears away the toxic proteins that cause Alzheimer's. The heart and blood vessels recover from daily stress. The immune system resets. When you rob yourself of this time, you rob yourself of life itself. Many seniors fall into what I call the medication trap. They take over-the-counter sleep aids thinking it will help them get the rest they need. But most of these drugs disrupt sleep architecture, keeping them in lighter sleep stages and blocking the very deep sleep their bodies need most. This creates a cycle of dependency that worsens the problem over time. Carl's transformation began when he discovered a simple strategy called the 3-2-1 rule. No large meals 3 hours before bed, no liquids 2 hours before bed, no screens 1 hour before bed. He added a new evening habit, what he called his worry window. For 15 minutes he wrote down every concern for tomorrow, then closed the notebook and set it aside. He optimized his bedroom by lowering the temperature to 65 degrees, using blackout curtains, and eliminating even small sources of light that could disrupt his sleep cycle. Within 6 weeks, Carl was sleeping 7 to 8 hours of high-quality rest. His afternoon crashes disappeared. His memory sharpened. His blood pressure and blood sugar improved. For the first time in years, he woke up feeling truly refreshed. His doctor told him his cognitive tests were stronger than expected for his age. Carl felt like he had been given back a decade of his life. There are simple tests you can use to evaluate your own sleep. Do you regularly feel a crash of energy between 2 and 4 in the afternoon? Do you find yourself dozing off while reading or watching television? Do you struggle to concentrate or remember details? These are not signs of normal aging. They are signs of poor sleep quality. To improve sleep, start with a consistent bedtime and wake time, even on weekends. Create a bedtime ritual that tells your body it is time to rest. Dim the lights, read a calming book, or listen to soft music. Avoid caffeine after midday. If you wake often at night to use the bathroom, reduce liquids in the evening. If anxiety keeps you awake, try writing your thoughts down or practicing slow breathing before bed. Sleep is not a luxury. It is the foundation of longevity. Without it, every other healthy habit loses power. Exercise does not rebuild muscles as effectively. Nutrition cannot fully repair tissues. Stress relief becomes harder. But with it, every aspect of your health improves. Think of sleep as the silent healer, the force working behind the scenes every night to keep you alive, clear, and strong. The hours you spend in bed are not wasted. They are the most important investment you can make in your future. So ask yourself now, are you truly giving your body the rest it needs? Or are you quietly cutting years off your life with the belief that you need less? Because the truth is this: the way you sleep today decides the way you will live tomorrow. Loneliness is one of the most dangerous conditions that people over 60 face, yet it is often ignored because it does not leave visible scars. It creeps in quietly, sometimes disguised as independence, sometimes masked by a busy schedule that lacks true connection. What makes loneliness deadly is not just the sadness it brings, but the damage it inflicts on the body and mind. Research shows that chronic loneliness has the same impact on health as smoking 15 cigarettes every day. For seniors, it raises the risk of early death by 50%, increases dementia risk by more than 60%, and raises the likelihood of heart disease by nearly 30%. Rita experienced this reality after her husband of 40 years passed away at 65. At first, she thought she was coping well. She kept herself busy with puzzles, gardening, and reading. She went to the grocery store, kept up with her doctor visits, and convinced herself she was fine. But little by little, she began declining dinner invitations because eating alone felt easier. She skipped her book club because the drive seemed too much trouble. She stopped calling friends because she did not want to burden them with her sadness. Within 6 months, her world had shrunk to her living room and a few necessary errands. Rita thought she was managing. In truth, loneliness was slowly poisoning her body and mind. The science explains why. The human brain interprets loneliness as danger. Your body reacts as if it is under threat. Stress hormones rise. Inflammation spreads through your system. The immune response weakens. Over time, loneliness literally breaks down both mind and body. It is not simply an emotional state. It is a biological assault. Here is a simple test you can use to measure your own risk. Count the number of meaningful conversations you have in a week. Not small talk, but real exchanges where you feel heard and understood. If you have fewer than 5, you are in the danger zone. If you have fewer than 2, you are already in crisis territory. The difference between solitude and loneliness is crucial. Solitude, when chosen, can be peaceful and restorative. Loneliness, when imposed, is toxic. The key is choice, the ability to connect when you want to. Rita learned this the hard way, but she also discovered that it was never too late to turn things around. She began a challenge she called one new person a month. Not dating, not forced friendships, simply choosing to create one new meaningful connection every month. She volunteered at a literacy center, helping adults learn to read. She joined a senior hiking group, enjoying nature with peers. She mentored young mothers at her church, sharing wisdom and encouragement. The real breakthrough came when she embraced intergenerational connection. She babysat for her neighbors' grandchildren. She joined a community garden where people of all ages worked side by side. Slowly, her life filled with purpose again. Her days no longer felt empty. Her health began to improve. Her doctor noticed changes in her blood pressure, her sleep, her energy levels. Technology became her ally rather than her barrier. She learned how to video call her grandchildren across the country. She joined online communities for widows. She used local apps to connect with neighbors who shared her interests. 2 years later, Rita's life was fuller than it had ever been. Her calendar was packed with meaningful activities. Her phone rang constantly with friends checking in. She felt needed, valued, and connected. The truth is that humans are designed for connection. Our health depends on it as much as food, sleep, and exercise. When we isolate, we suffer. When we connect, we heal. Loneliness is not just uncomfortable, it is deadly. And the choice to fight it begins with the courage to reach out, to open your world even when it feels easier to close it. So reflect on your own life. How many genuine conversations did you have this week? How many times did you allow yourself to be fully seen and fully heard? If the number is low, let that be your call to action. Because connection is not optional at this stage of life. It is essential. Rita's story reminds us that it is never too late to rebuild connection. Every new friendship, every shared activity, every honest conversation adds not just joy, but years to your life. The hidden cost of loneliness is too high. The reward of connection is priceless. Many people over 60 believe they are eating healthy because they follow the same advice they were given decades ago. Whole grains, fruit juices, low-fat products, vegetable oils. On the surface, it sounds responsible, even virtuous. But what most do not realize is that the body changes dramatically after 60. The foods that once worked for you may now be working against you, quietly fueling inflammation, draining your energy, and aging you years faster than you realize. David was 74 and proud of his habits. Every morning he had whole wheat toast with jam and a tall glass of orange juice. He believed it was the perfect breakfast, filled with fiber and vitamin C. He snacked on low-fat yogurt and whole-grain crackers. He cooked with vegetable oil because he had been told for years that it was healthier than butter. But over time, David noticed troubling changes. His joints ached, he felt a heavy fatigue in the afternoons, his mind was cloudy, and even small cuts took weeks to heal. He thought it was just normal aging. What he did not know was that his so-called healthy diet was fueling chronic inflammation, the root cause of most age-related diseases. After 60, your metabolism slows. Your insulin sensitivity decreases. Your body struggles to process carbohydrates the way it used to. Foods high in sugar, even natural ones like fruit juice, hit your system harder and cause spikes that younger bodies can manage but older ones cannot. Whole wheat toast, that once felt like a healthy choice, was now spiking David's blood sugar higher than a candy bar. His orange juice was flooding his liver with fructose it could no longer process efficiently. His low-fat yogurt was packed with hidden sugars. His vegetable oil was loaded with omega-6 fatty acids that promote inflammation. The signs of chronic inflammation were all there. Pain that would not go away. Brain fog that stole his clarity. Fatigue that no amount of rest could fix. Mood swings and irritability. His doctor finally tested his blood and found markers of inflammation so high they made his biological age 15 years older than his real age. It was a wake-up call David could not ignore. He decided to change. He adopted a senior-specific Mediterranean approach to eating, designed for the realities of an older metabolism. He replaced his morning toast and juice with eggs cooked in olive oil, spinach, and avocado. The protein stabilized his blood sugar. The healthy fats calmed inflammation. The vegetables delivered nutrients without the sugar spike. He added spices like turmeric with black pepper and ginger with cinnamon. Simple ingredients with powerful anti-inflammatory effects. He timed his meals so that his largest meal was earlier in the day when his body processed food best, keeping dinner light and early. The difference was remarkable. Within weeks, his afternoon fog disappeared. His energy returned. His mood stabilized. After 3 months, his joint pain had decreased by 80%. His blood tests showed his inflammation markers had dropped to levels typical of someone 20 years younger. David realized that his body still had the ability to heal itself. It just needed the right fuel. This is the lesson so many people miss. The foods that got you through your 40s and 50s may now be silently aging you in your 70s. It is not about eating less. It is about eating differently. Your body no longer needs the quick energy of high-carbohydrate meals. It needs steady fuel from protein, healthy fats, and low-glycemic vegetables. It needs foods that fight inflammation rather than feed it. Here are a few practical steps you can begin today. Replace fruit juices with whole berries or water infused with lemon. Swap low-fat yogurt for plain Greek yogurt without added sugar. Cook with olive oil or coconut oil instead of vegetable oil. Choose nuts instead of crackers for snacks. Use sweet potatoes instead of regular potatoes for a steadier energy release. And do not underestimate the power of spices. Add turmeric, cinnamon, and ginger to your meals. Small changes add up to powerful results. The goal is not perfection. It is awareness. Begin noticing how your body feels after different foods. Pay attention to your energy, your clarity, your mood. Your body is always speaking to you. Learn to listen. David's story reminds us of something important. Aging is not about accepting decline. It is about adjusting to what your body truly needs now. The right food can give you back years of vitality. The wrong food can quietly steal them away. So ask yourself, what foods are you still eating every day because you believe they are healthy? Could they be fueling the very fatigue, pain, and fog you want to escape? You may discover that by changing your plate, you change your future. Because the truth is this: at this stage of life, every meal is not just food, it is medicine, or it is poison, and the choice is yours. Chronic stress is often the most invisible of all the forces that shorten life after 60, yet it is also the most powerful. It does not announce itself with sudden pain or a visible wound. It lives quietly in the background, shaping every breath you take, every beat of your heart, and every choice you make. For decades, you may have believed that worry keeps you prepared, that constant planning makes you safe. But what science now shows us is that this low-level stress is one of the deadliest forces you can face in later life. Nancy was 69 and proud of being the kind of person who always had a plan. She researched every possible health scare, prepared for every financial disaster, worried about her children and her aging mother, and believed that her vigilance was protecting her family. But during a routine checkup, her doctor looked at her results with concern. Nancy's blood pressure was dangerously high. Her cortisol levels were off the charts, and her immune markers revealed that her body had been under attack for years. She was shocked. She did not feel stressed. She was retired, financially secure, surrounded by people who loved her. But the truth was that her mind had been running a silent marathon every day, and her body could no longer keep up. This is what I call the senior stress paradox. You have more wisdom and life experience than ever before, yet you also carry more accumulated stress. Decades of loss, disappointment, and trauma have left their marks. Your stress response system, once quick to activate and quick to shut down, now struggles to turn off. Cortisol stays elevated, doing quiet but devastating damage. Chronic stress accelerates cellular aging, weakens the immune system, raises inflammation, disrupts sleep, and increases the risk of heart disease, stroke, and even dementia. Nancy's stress showed up in 4 ways. First was future-focused anxiety, constant worry about her health, her husband's health, her finances, and whether she would become a burden to her children. Second was past-focused regret, guilt about mistakes, resentment about lost opportunities, sorrow about relationships that ended badly. Third was caregiver stress, the exhausting cycle of caring for her 94-year-old mother while also worrying about her adult children. Fourth was loss-related stress, grieving not only the people she had lost, but the independence and strength she feared were slipping away. For many people at this stage of life, stress feels unavoidable. But Nancy discovered something powerful. The first step was to separate what she could control from what she could not. She made 2 lists. On the first, she wrote her daily habits, her responses to situations, her choices for self-care. On the second, she wrote her family's decisions, her future health outcomes, and events she could not predict. Seeing the difference in writing freed her from the belief that she had to carry everything. She began practicing mindfulness adapted for her stage of life. Not the kind that demanded an empty mind, but a gentler practice of loving awareness. When worries came, she noticed them with compassion, then let them pass instead of feeding them with endless mental rehearsal. She adopted what she called the legacy perspective. Instead of asking, what if something bad happens, she began asking, how do I want to be remembered? That shift moved her from fear-based thinking to purpose-based living. Nancy also learned that stress must be released physically, not just mentally. She started gentle yoga, daily walks, deep breathing, and therapeutic gardening. These simple practices calmed her body so her mind could follow. She joined a stress support group for seniors, discovering she was not alone in her worries. Sharing her fears reduced their power. Within 6 months, Nancy's transformation was undeniable. Her cortisol levels normalized. Her blood pressure returned to healthy ranges. Her sleep deepened. Her energy returned. Her outlook brightened. She no longer spent hours rehearsing worst-case scenarios. She spent them living with peace and purpose. People around her noticed the calm she carried, the quiet strength she now shared with others. This is the truth about stress after 60. You cannot always control the events of your life, but you can always choose how you respond to them. When you allow chronic stress to rule you, it shortens your life and steals your joy. When you learn to release it, you extend not just your years, but the quality of those years. The warning signs are clear. Persistent insomnia, loss of appetite or emotional overeating, withdrawal from social connection, loss of interest in activities you once loved, physical symptoms like chest pain or frequent headaches. These are not things to ignore. They are signals that your body is asking you to take stress seriously. So ask yourself honestly, what is the greatest source of stress in your life right now? Is it the future, the past, the weight of caregiving, or the grief of loss? And then ask, what small step can I take today to release it? Because every act of release, no matter how small, is an act of adding life back into your years. When you begin to live with less stress, something extraordinary happens. Sleep improves, energy returns, relationships deepen, and your health stabilizes. One change leads to another. Just as Sandra's movement gave her more strength, Carl's sleep restored his mind, Rita's connections renewed her spirit, and David's nutrition healed his body. Nancy's freedom from stress became the thread that tied it all together. Chronic stress is heavy, but you do not have to carry it anymore. This stage of life is not about fear. It is about freedom. The freedom to live with calm, to focus on purpose, to choose peace. The years ahead can be not only longer but brighter, if you are willing to put down the weight of stress and walk forward with a lighter heart. You have now seen the truth about what it really means to live well after 60. It is not about luck, and it is not about genetics alone. It is about the choices you make every single day. Sitting too much silently steals your strength, but consistent movement restores it. Poor sleep weakens your body and your mind, but deep and restorative rest heals them both. Loneliness can quietly break your spirit, but meaningful connection brings it back to life. Outdated nutrition habits fuel inflammation and fatigue, but the right foods calm your body and sharpen your mind. Chronic stress weighs you down, but learning to release it frees you to live with peace and purpose. Sandra chose movement and found strength she thought was gone. Carl embraced real sleep and gained clarity he never imagined possible. Rita reached for connection and filled her life with meaning again. David changed his plate and reclaimed the energy of someone decades younger. Nancy let go of the weight of stress and discovered the calm she had been searching for all along. The truth is simple. At this stage of life, every decision matters more than ever. Each choice becomes either a step toward decline or a step toward freedom. And the good news is that it is never too late to begin. The body has a remarkable ability to heal. The mind can rediscover clarity, and the soul can awaken to joy, no matter your age. So pause and ask yourself right now, which of these lessons speaks to you the most? Which habit are you ready to release? And which step will you take today to add not just years to your life, but life to your years? Because your story is not finished. The best chapters may still be ahead, and they begin the moment you decide to live with strength, clarity, connection, and peace.